The show's begun. Let the show begin! Alright, welcome to 30andnerdy.com. Alright.
Season 2, episode something or other.
Yeah. This is going to be our Walking Dead Season 5 finale podcast.
Uh-huh.
So yes, wherever you found us, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And
You're Matt?
Oh yeah. That's right, I forgot. Introductions. Okay, so I got to do the voice. I'm Matt.
I'm Gina.
And you can reach us on Twitter at 30andnerdy with 30 spelled out. All right?
All
right, so Walking Dead Season 5 finale. It was episode 16?
Correct.
Yeah, episode 16 of Season 5. It was 90 minutes long. I mean, approximately. So what'd you think?
It was okay. It was not as amazing and fantastic as I had hoped or as I had been led to believe. It has a rating of 9.6 on IMDb right now, which just astounds me. So I'm not sure.
Oh, from 3,600 users right now.
Yeah, which is why it's just like I'm in shock. It was okay. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it just, you know what? I wanted more. I was expecting, it felt like the storyline needed, I don't know, like 45 more minutes for something truly interesting to happen.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like they could have cut out a bunch of stuff. And
well, okay, that too. But I felt like where it ended was what I wanted the middle of the episode to be.
Oh, I get you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That makes sense.
Because I felt like from the trailer that we saw online where Rick's voiceover, there was a voiceover that he uses for one of his lines. It's something like, like they'll come for us, or like we have to fight, or that sort of thing. Like those types of words was used in the voiceover for the trailer. And so I thought that the episode was going to be a lot more action-packed than it was. I mean, it was like a real emotional episode, but I thought it was going to be about a war that erupts inside there. I thought it was finally going to happen, like side versus side.
That's going to be next year's season finale. That's going to be the series finale.
Yeah. You know what? One of the things that I was really happy about was I kept saying week after week after week, we don't know what's with the carvings in the heads, the carvings in the forehead.
Yeah.
And we're like, is it a W? Is it an M? Is it a 3 that was just kind of like etched without, just kind of like straight lines, like a 3. And within the first minute of the show, we find out sort of what that's all about.
Yeah.
And so I was really happy.
I think the first few minutes of the show are like some of the best part, where Morgan's like kicking these two kids' butts. I loved it.
Yeah.
And you finally realize, oh wow, I completely forgot about him. And I love it when they do that. I love it when you don't have it in the back of your head like, oh yeah, he came in like 2 episodes ago. He's going to come back. Like I genuinely completely forgot about him, and when I saw him I was like, yes, Morgan, it's awesome. We've seen him a couple times throughout the entire history of the show, and so now we're kind of, it's the last episode, you're kind of hoping that he meets up with the gang and what's been happening to him since. So that was that was nice, and it was cool that you do see him, and it's uplifting and it's exciting, and I think it kind of gave me a false hope of something like other things that would happen in the show, but
in this episode in particular.
Yes,
okay, yeah. I guess before we go too much further, want to give a brief synopsis of the episode. Like, hopefully, if you're listening to this, you've watched the episode, because this podcast is going to be full of spoilers.
Yes.
There's no reason for it not to be. But just maybe to refresh listeners' memory. So yes, it starts off with a man sitting across from Morgan, describing like the W. What do you say it stands for? Wolves?
Wolves.
Wolves. But did it mean then that he, like, the people with the W's in the heads were the ones being hunted?
No, I took it that they were the
hunters?
ones, doing the hunting. Yeah.
Okay. But it was really interesting that guy described something that we haven't really gotten to see yet as like a bunch of different tribes of people actually living in the wilderness now. That's what he said. He said tribes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess he described a version of Georgia, we'll say, that's just a lot more primitive than everything we've seen. I mean, we've seen some nasty stuff in this show, but it made it sound like there are just bands of horrible people out there, just kind of like the caliber of which I don't want to say we haven't bumped into them, because we bumped into so many crappy, but he just made it seem like it was, like they're more plentiful,
I don't know. Like, I took it when he was describing the tribes as like what they were taking themselves after, not necessarily that they were more out there in the forest. So I'm not sure about that. But yeah, it was cool, like seeing a fresh face, a new character, and the way the episode ended, knowing that we will see them again. So that was nice.
Yeah, true. So then from there, I mean, what other stuff happens? Daryl and Aaron, there you go. Yes, Gina's good with the names. I'm bad with the names. They go exploring. I don't know what it was. It was like a supply place, and they found trucks that were, they showed promise. They were possibly packed full of cans and stuff like that. And they open up and they set a booby trap off, and like tons and tons and tons of zombies come out of like these trucks, and they get trapped in a car. And basically, it gets to the point where Daryl's going to sacrifice himself to cause a distraction so that Aaron can get out of there. But at the last second, Morgan, he comes and he saves him.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, and then what else? Like, Rick continues to go crazy and doesn't... I say crazy. Like, Michonne basically tells Rick, like, look, what you did last episode wasn't good, but I still have your back no matter what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like we know everybody's still...
Carol's getting a little sneakier and creepier.
Yeah, sneakier and creepier, and the town's still falling apart. And what's the abusive husband's name? Is Pete?
Pete.
Yeah, Pete's still a piece of crap, and Carol goes and, like, threatens him. At the end of the episode, Pete slashes whose husband's throat?
And Deanna's husband, Reg, gets sliced up by Michonne's sword, who Pete has, because he wants to go after Rick because they're having this town meeting. And, like, all that sounds awesome, and there were... individual scenes that were incredible, like when Glenn gets lured out and Nicholas tries to kill him, and they have that fight in the wilderness, and it's awesome. But overall, it just didn't fit together. It was like all these little tiny, these individual parts that were really cool and good scenes and, awesome fighting and a little bit of like, conniving. But overall, it was just kind of anticlimactic.
Yes, yeah, I totally agree. But how do you feel, as far as the storyline goes and some of the things that Rick has said and done in these past 2 episodes and whatnot, do you feel like when he tells the people of this town, like, look, you guys need to become like us or you're not going to survive much longer, do you feel like those are true words? Like, and that is just a fact? Or do you feel like, no, that's still Rick's opinion versus fact of life?
I don't think they need to become exactly like him, but I do think they need to change. Like, when they first got there, they asked, in the watchtower, like, who's watching now? What are the schedules? And like, oh, there's nobody there. Like, they keep a gun up there, but nobody's ever really there. Nobody ever looks at the perimeter to make sure that the walls is still... Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
like, making sure the walls are intact, making sure there's no holes being buried, making sure there's nothing wrong. Like, they don't even do, like, the basic type of, like, either maintenance or... upkeep to make sure that like everything is still secure. I think they think it'll last forever. Oh no, it's fine, don't worry about it. So like they're definitely naive. They definitely need to learn how to take care of themselves in case something happens. But I don't think they need to be like Rick in the sense where he is cautious of every single person and he will not think twice to kill someone if he feels threatened, even if they are not actually threatening him. So
do you think that if you were in this version of the zombie apocalypse that you'd end up becoming closer to a Rick or closer to a Glenn?
Oh, Glenn.
As in Glenn, refresher in the episode when he gets into the fight with Nicholas, who shoots him and beats him up, and they tangle in the woods, and it looks like Walker's going to get Glenn. And Glenn could have, by the end of that fight, just shot him in the head.
Oh, yeah.
But the two are basically laying next to each other, and Nicholas is crying, and...
like a little baby.
I'm sure Glenn is also.
Yeah.
It was a crazy moment, but Glenn, in that moment, separates himself from somebody like Rick and finds it in himself to spare even like what has become his worst enemy out there. Kind of. I'm gonna cough here. Hang on. When he's talking with Maggie, and he's sitting there and he's quiet and he tells her that he loves her and stuff like that. It's like you can tell just by the expressions on his face, at least this is how I took it, was that his inevitable confrontation with Nicholas just felt like it was just constantly on his mind. Like he was wondering, am I going to die from like the amount of times that I've gotten into confrontations with this guy? At least that's what I took it as. No?
Wow, I don't know. I never thought of it that way. Like, in the episode when they're talking and he's obviously disturbed and she's asking what's wrong, I took that more because he had sat in on a conversation that she was not a part of. So they were in that house where Rick was barely waking up and Michonne's taking a look at him, and he realizes that, Rick stole a gun and that they have this plan to take over the meeting if something goes wrong.
Oh, yeah, true.
And I feel like,
about that.
And so he's not sure whether he's like, do I tell Maggie? Do I let her know in case something goes crazy? You don't want to take her by surprise.
Yeah.
And he's not sure, like, if it's something he supports or not, And it's like, so to go back to your question, Glenn is somebody I would like to be if the zombie apocalypse ever came around. Whether it actually happened, I have no idea. I don't know if I would be able, if I'd be that forgiving. I would like to be, but I don't know.
I still feel like, as horrible as it sounds, I feel like, okay, granted, setting aside the fact that Rick is very well, quite possibly going crazy, just like, pure craziness, I feel like his level of caution and where he's at with his trust to strangers and things like that, I feel like it is the only way to truly survive that world at that state. And it's really, really sad, but...
See, I don't know if that's necessarily the only way. I think taking actions the way he does, if he knows something is wrong, is the way to handle things. So, like, Pete went crazy. Pete killed Reg, and he shot him and killed him. And that had to be done.
Did it?
I see, that's what I think. I think that when something like that happens, it has to be fast. The action has to be taken quickly. But maybe not necessarily be as cautious and untrusting as he is. But when something does go wrong, be able to take action immediately.
True, yeah, that was one of those situations where, like, when he, was it Pete, you said? Pete cut Reg's throat.
It was an accident.
Yeah,
but...
so it was okay for Rick and Lady to be judge and jury right there in that decision. It's not like, that's not something that there needs to be a trial for. Like, nope, you killed him, so you don't get to live. And, like, so you're like, that's okay in this world. Not
just that, but this is a guy who was abusive to his wife, so he was already
he had a history.
Abusive. He was violent. He was a drunk. They were trying to have a meeting and be rational, and he came in wielding someone else's sword, looking for violence and vengeance. It was not something that, like, oh, they were talking, there was a misunderstanding, it happened, and it was an accident, so now we'll try him. No, he purposely went there to kill somebody, and in the process, somebody died, not the person he was hoping for, but... It's somebody like that, what are you going to do? Like I said, they don't have a jail. You can't put him in prison. You can do exile him, have him jump over the walls and come back and kill everybody. Like, there's just... With somebody with that type of rage and those type of problems, it's like you may not be safe if you just drop them off 20 miles away and hope that they never come back.
So speaking of jumping walls and whatnot, doesn't it seem... I mean, we don't know how many people know how easy the wall is to jump, But we've seen multiple people jump the wall multiple times, so it does make me wonder how vulnerable that place really is and what they're going to do to tidy up security in the next season and whatnot, because obviously, I mean, the walls are good for zombies, but that's about all they're good for.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I think the exterior doesn't have those little planks that they use, but absolutely some, non-zombies could totally either knock them down or dig a hole or, break through them quite easily. So I don't know. Like, okay, so what do you expect next season then?
Oh wow. Oh man. In regards to pacing and overall plot and stuff like that?
Anything, yeah.
Well, okay, here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that Daryl and you said it was Aaron?
Yes.
Daryl and Aaron, okay, so they came back with Morgan. Morgan has knowledge of the people that he bumped into, which is good because he can share that, like the types of mentalities that are out there and, the wolves thing and stuff like that. Hopefully he shares that immediately. Hopefully they put two and two together in regards to a place with an incredibly, like, devastating and intelligent, like, booby trap system rigged and stuff like that. Hopefully they can figure out, like, there's people out here who are using zombies as set traps and blah, blah, blah. And it's not that far away. And Rick gets them, so the zombies obviously... Thanks to the priest, who we still need to talk about.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I hope that they brace for impact. I don't think that they fully understand. I don't even think we fully understand what it is that they need to be prepared for. But obviously it's going to be there. It's got to be something that's worthy of a series finale.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's the last, final season. So there's obviously going to be conflict within the camp, within the community, and then conflict outside, because that's what's going to, it'll drive ratings, But it's definitely something that's going to evolve, because there are people who are going to be glad Rick took action, and there are people who will be really pissed that he killed Pete. So
what's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens and what they do is, I forget, what was it? Do you remember the name of the city that the governor was? Anyways, what if, because Rick is kind of... Oh, do you remember?
Woodbury,
yeah. Okay, because Rick is losing it a little bit, do you think there's a chance that they could almost, he could become the next governor? And that's, his whole full circle plot, his arc?
I was sort of thinking that. I do think there'd be limitations, though, because the governor went out and sought people to kill and raid. I don't think Rick would get to that point, but I could definitely see it becoming somewhere where, a community of people that you might need to be cautious of. Again, I don't think he would lure people, and I don't think he would trick them, but they are definitely people you would not want to be stuck inside walls with.
Do you think we start the next episode, the first episode in season 6, with somebody always in every guard tower that's, I don't know how many guard towers they have there. Maybe they have one. If they only have one guard tower now, a guard tower in each corner of their perimeter and somebody in it at all times, that caliber of thing? Are we just going to be, introduced to a version of this town that is fully fortified and guarded and stuff like that? Or do you think it'll be in a state of transition, or very little time will have passed and change will have happened? How much farther in the future do you think this will take place?
That's a good question, because since Morgan is now in the picture, I don't know if they would just skip over, the reunion between him and Rick and kind of figuring out what happened, then him sharing his information. So I would say it's not going to be very long after that, if not immediately. But in that sense, they are going to be taking a lot more action, making sure they're safer.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So real quick, if we were run down the list of the characters for next season, you just say live or die, and we just figure out who's going to live, who's going to die. So if you said series finale or the entire season, whatever. So we'll start with Glenn. Think he's going to live or die?
Live.
Maggie.
Live.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Abraham.
Die.
Oh, Eugene. I think die.
Die?
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have hesitated as long. I will tell you this.
What?
I think Rick's going to die.
I kind of think so, too.
Yeah. Also, disclaimer, neither Gina nor I have read the comic books. So if this is common knowledge, the writers of the show have said that they're not playing by any rules, right now in regards to who lives and who dies, and keeping it the same as the comics and whatnot. I just feel if the show's going to have as happy of an ending as possible in this universe, obviously the plot hasn't gotten to the point where they haven't found a government, there is no cure, nobody's working on anything, it seems like everything is screwed. So if there is no possible plot that has anything to do with finding a cure for whatever's happened, then the happiest ending possible can be an ending where people like Glenn and Maggie are living on and nourishing future people, really, really good people.
Okay,
and I just don't know. I hate to say this. I don't know if it's good. So for as much as I say that Rick's thinking is probably some of the safest out there, at the same time I don't know if it's a good idea that I hate to say it, but that people like him are the ones to lead the future generations. At the same time, he's got 2 kids and stuff like that. So I totally feel for the guy,
I think it's one of those things where okay, so we watched Serenity not too long ago. And there was a part where the assassin's talking to Mal. And he's saying it's after they've killed a lot of Mal's friends. He's gone through and he's killed kids and all the friends he had that would take care of him and stuff. And he was why are you doing this? I'm doing it for a perfect future. And he's like, well, is there a place for you in there? And he says, of course not. I'm a monster.
Oh, yeah.
And it's that's reminds me of Rick, where it's right now he is vital and he is important. But once you get to a point where there are no more really crazy savages out there anymore, if it ever gets to it, his kind of leadership and his role is no longer necessary.
Yeah.
So if that happens, I could totally see why he would end up dying. Because there's no place for you here. Your thinking is no longer valid when there's more at least civilized people who are willing to work together and understand and move forward and not be savages and just kill each other. So
Interesting.
all right, so let me
Is Daryl going to survive?
Oh, I see. He would totally be one to survive, but I think for a good plot twist or a really good dramatic ending, they would have him die.
Oh, man.
Michonne?
She needs to survive.
Yeah, I like her. Yeah. Carol.
Carol. Ooh, I don't know. Carol's a little twisted.
I think she will because she is. I think she's
I think
conniving.
her and Rick need to go down holding hands.
Ew.
Not in like a romantic sense, just kind of like in a we're both too messed up to go on.
Okay. All right, so that's the minor characters. Sasha.
Gone.
Gabriel.
Gone.
Rosita.
Gone.
Tara.
Gone.
And then...
Everybody else is expendable except a few core people.
Yeah. Morgan.
Lives.
Oh, all right. Yeah, he's too resourceful.
Speaking of, I want to, before we get too far away or don't get to touch on, I mentioned earlier outside of the podcast, and I wanted to bring it up, how, I don't know if cool is the right word, how interesting it was, how when he meets up with Rick, in that split second or two before the show actually ends, he sees Rick covered in blood, with a gun in his hand, after having just shot a man
in cold blood.
In cold blood. Yeah. And how interesting it was that they're like in opposite places in life from where Rick last saw him.
Yep.
When he was the crazy one. And, just circumstances were a bit different and stuff like that, but just, like complete reversal of their grasps on reality in a way,
So that also kind of tells you that there's hope for Rick because
there is.
Yeah,
he
if
doesn't
Morgan's
really need to die. But...
Yeah, if Morgan's come around from that insanity, that place where he lost his kid.
Very true. Yeah. Okay.
He was booby trapping, entire buildings, entire cities, for walkers and anybody trying to like steal his stuff. But he came around. But he came around because of Rick. So it would have to be Morgan talking sense into Rick to be like, stop being crazy. This is what we can do. So, yeah, he can totally come around. He can totally be, that better, less cautious person. But I think I'm with you. Like, I think they'll get rid of him.
Interesting. What was his name? Father Gabriel?
Yes.
Let's talk about him a little bit. Like, what is still going on with him? I feel like is his character just incredibly naive in regards to the zombie-pocalypse? Is his mind just still so blown that he...
Oh, yeah. It has to be, because he's seen this for the first time, where he was trapped inside of his chapel for however long it's been, months and months and months, where he never had to kill one. He never had to fight off other people who were trying to steal from him or kill him or eat him.
Yeah.
He had rations, he had shelter, and so he hasn't had the last couple of months to soak it in and take it in and understand what's really going on. It's just like all of a sudden, bam, he's been dropped in the center of it, and he doesn't know what to make of it. So, yeah, and because of that, he's going a little crazy.
Do you think in the grand scheme of right and wrong, there was really much of a difference between... Do you remember how it was that he let all of his people die? Did he...
He locked them out.
Okay.
They came to the church, and he kept the doors locked and didn't let them in.
Yeah, he's super Judgy McJudgerson of, like, the crazy crap that everybody else has done.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
He himself, it seems like he's, like, barely in this episode coming to terms with, I'm not a very good person either,
Yeah, he may not have swung the hatchet, but he definitely was responsible for a lot of innocent people's deaths.
He still sealed their fates.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah, he was just like his whole... Like, I was pissed off when he went to the... what's her name again?
Deanna.
When he went to Deanna and said, like, Rick's... He basically said Rick's the devil.
Oh, absolutely. And you shouldn't trust him. You have to kick him out.
Are demons.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And then he wants Sasha to kill him, and Sasha's all messed up. That whole thing with her laying...
They should just kill each other. Just get rid of both of them right there.
Really?
They brought Morgan on, remember? If one African-American character comes on, they get rid of another. It's sad but true. Yeah. So now that Morgan's here, one of them's got to go.
And if in the storyline it accidentally makes sense for her to go first because she's a black woman, they still have to kill him because
that's correct. She's a double minority. Oh, how sad.
Wow.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, I'm surprised. It's for all intents and purposes, not intensive purposes. Okay. At the end of this show, we're showing +1 black male without any other African American characters having died.
And
This is a
minus
first.
a white male. They killed Pete.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe they're finally leveling the playing field.
And Pete was yuppie, so that's like brownie points.
That's
He was an
right.
architect with glasses.
I'm just happy that Rosita's still around. All right, me and her share our last
you kidding
names.
me?
Hey, Hispanic woman, still
Yes.
alive. All
Okay,
right, and she's an Espinosa, so I gotta give her some credit.
Let me also point out that she is the worst actress or actor
We're not talking about the actress. We're
on
talking
the
about the
entire
character.
show. On the entire show, she is the weakest link, acting wise.
I think now, yeah, she definitely is. There were some worse ones. Carl used to be really bad, but yeah, I think at this point she is probably the worst one. Tara's okay.
Does Carl's hair bother you at all?
Carl and Daryl's hair bothers me. All right, Daryl needs to take a shower. He needs to just get his hand and slick it back and stop trying to see through like this little.
Remember there was that moment when they were trapped in the car and Daryl's hair was completely in front of his eyes,
Yep.
and I was like, why doesn't he move it? How can he see it? And then there was they cut back to Aaron, and then they cut back to Daryl, and it was clearly like somebody had parted his hair. Like
the director was like, "Oh, this is bugging me."
Yeah, yeah.
He like separated his bangs for him.
It was so funny because it was totally a continuity error.
Don't talk about continuity in this episode. It was terrible.
Oh, was it? Well, it was here. Anyways, continuity error, but it was a welcome one. I was like, I forgive you.
Yeah. No, my other big pet peeve
Wait,
with
you
this
caught stuff?
episode, the sunset.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it's just
okay.
dark all of a sudden.
Okay, all right. So there's this point where the whole town's not whole town, anybody who wants is going to go to this meeting at Deanna's house to discuss Rick and what should possibly happen to him. So Rick's getting ready to go to this meeting, defend himself, notices that, hey, the gate's open. So he goes down to the gate, and he notices that there's some blood and flesh and or clothing on the little hook going inside. So he's like, oh my god, there's walkers inside, whatever. So he closes it up, blocks it, starts following the blood trail, and he's looking for these walkers. He's running down the street, he turns left, he turns right, and it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It is bright, sunny, perfectly lit day. And then literally the next shot, they are at Deanna's house in the backyard with a campfire, and everyone's face is half lit. It is completely dark. It's not even, and she says a line where it's like, okay, it's getting dark. I was like, no, it's not getting dark. It looks like it's already 10 p.m. And I just thought that was such a, it pulled me out so much, because not only, that's at the same time when Nicholas tries to lure Glenn out of the camp, the community.
And it's sunny.
Yes, Glenn goes after him, perfectly sunny. We see Nicholas shoot Glenn. He falls to the ground. He sees the blood within the leaves. So it's like, again, perfectly lit, beautiful sunny day. And then when they're fighting, it's dark. And I'm just like, what the? It wasn't even like sunset. That you didn't see like a purple sky. And it really pulled me out of it to where I was thinking about that more in the episodes. That kind of bugged me.
I think personally, I guess I just accept the transition in time and the fact that they chose not to show it. At the same time, I agreed that I would have appreciated at least some sort of a shot of the sunset or something to say, hey, it's getting darker out. Like they could have done a better job with it, but I did not get sucked out by it.
But it wasn't even like, oh, they didn't put an establishing shot. It was like a 3 or 4 hour difference. It doesn't take Rick 3 hours to walk from the house to the gate and then walk around the community. Like, it was just, it didn't even make sense.
Like that, you're
like, the
right,
time
you're
lapse
right, that, yeah.
didn't fit at all. And that's what bugged me. And I was like, where is everybody? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, it is winter there. The sun sets at like 4:30.
Apparently, because now in this episode compared to last episode, everyone's bundled up in flannels, and I'm like, what? Maggie's got this huge jacket on. Glenn's wearing a long sleeve flannel shirt. Carol's got like a long sleeve with her sweater over too, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, what happened to everybody? Like, I didn't realize.
The cast finally spoke up to like the showrunners, and we're just like, we're cold.
Yeah, exactly. Because in past episodes, they're in t-shirts and jeans, but you can see their breath.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, well, at least keep them in winter clothing the whole time.
Was it this season or last season with the Espinosa woman was just in like these short shorts?
Oh god, and her little halter top.
Hat. Yeah, the military hat.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, anything else you want to add about the actual episode itself?
No, I mean ultimately I thought it was okay.
Oh yeah, we didn't even give like a really good recap. We're just kind of dove in there, but yeah, it was okay. I don't think it's deserving of the 9.6 rating it has on IMDb right now. I don't think it was deserving of all the hype I saw online about how great it was, or even the fact that it had like the best ratings so far for a series finale for it, or season finale for it. Maybe I can understand ratings because people thought it was going to be great, but it was just, I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those things where, God, are we going to watch it next season? Are we going to?
I need to know how it ends at this point. But I do agree. Every single time we sit down with it, I'm mostly excited to see what's going to happen next, and you're always like, okay. And then by the end of the episode, you're always like, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you're right. So in other words, I'm not going to be giddy for it, but think about it this way. We've watched 5 seasons of the show through thick and thin, and the show is not always great. And episode to episode, it's not consistently good. Season to season, it's not consistently good. But at this point, are you telling me you could just walk away from it and not know what's going to happen?
I think I could watch like the series finale and just catch up and like read a summary or a synopsis or something. But I don't know if I have to sit through 60 more episodes of it.
Do you want to check out the spin-off series?
Yes, I do.
I forget what it's called. It might be called Fear the Walking Dead.
Ooh, yes, I do.
It's a prequel. Looks like it takes place in Los Angeles. And
Woohoo,
it's about
down the street.
The early days of people becoming zombies and things like that. I think there's a lot of potential for some really interesting stories. Like how do you deal with that? Like when somebody becomes a zombie for the first time, like I hope they do a lot of like how does society react?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I can't wait. Yeah, that sounds like something that would be extremely interesting because I know I feel like that can go on for a while because it's going to be a while before you lose electricity, before you lose running water.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Before you lose your whole family, you know, like I don't know, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's almost like right now, like The Walking Dead, especially in like, seasons 1, 2, and 3 and stuff like that. It's kind of like this cool what if storyline, and you're watching these characters, but a part of you wants to, also kind of like think about the zombie-pocalypse and how you would survive and where you'd go and if you'd make the same decisions of them and whatnot. But this, hypothetically, this show is a chance to tell stories that are even more like close to us right now.
Yes, to make it more realistic for us.
Yeah, kind of like you wake up tomorrow and this is what's going on in your neighborhood or what you're watching on the news, and like, stories about how this cast and these people are reacting to it. And if they can write it well, it can, some really good storytelling.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
Do you think though that because it's kind of like an origin story and whatnot, it'll probably be a lot less actiony than Walking Dead is now? Like really, what reason?
Wow, see, I would think it'd be full of it because like if it
just
spreads,
people killing zombies still?
Yeah, if it spreads so quickly and again, not understanding it and people just getting caught in the mix because they're not sure if they should attack somebody that they used to know, like, oh no, that's Ben there, and it's like, no, Ben's biting your arm off. So I think it'd be a fair amount of drama and action.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So season finale was okay, and we'll watch the spinoff and
maybe season 6.
I'll drag you into season 6.
No.
Yeah. No. Okay. Anything else?
Nope. I'm good.
Okay, cool. So for 30andnerdy.com, again, I am Matt.
I'm Gina.
And you can reach us on Twitter. At 30andnerdy. We're also on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Tumblr. We have an Etsy shop where we sell bags and pins and all sorts of cool stuff. And like on each of those websites, we're basically like blah, 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 /30 and nerdy spelled out.
Yeah, Pinterest and Instagram
Pinterest.
and just whatever. Look for us anywhere.
Yes. Okay, cool. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Next time.
Bye.
Bye.